Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the British and Irish Pro Cup 2, where we are about ready to get things started off here. Seeding event has concluded. I am joined by one of the top 32 drivers in British and Irish Trackmania. Orion, you made it, and unfortunately you've had to give up your spot to come and join us here instead.
I did make it. I can't believe it. Like last year, I was skill checked on all of the maps, especially the Kiesler one. That was just troll despair for everybody. But yeah, I think like most people, people have really thrown themselves into this. I've been grinding the maps every evening, much to my girlfriend's disappointment. Um, and yeah, I just about scraped in by the skin of my teeth. But yeah, I'm not playing. I'm casting instead, which, to be honest, is probably more enjoyable because I would have been in a match with Babz, Crisp, and Socks, all of whom are like twice the player that I am. So I would have been dropping out straight away. But instead, I've given that honor to Killjoy, who's going to be in match 1. But we're going to be covering match 4, which I will just glance at my notes. That is Epos, Gibbonster, Babz, and OC. Now, Epos was one of the fastest players. He's the 4th seed after that seeding event. Babz was actually top 10 in the time attack, but has now dropped down to 20th. And being in the round server for quite some time, it was clear that he was struggling somewhat driving the clean rounds. Like, the pace is definitely there, but I think his consistency has definitely let him down in that seeding event. We also have Gibbonster, 13th seed. We've seen him before in BIPL. Typically finishing in around 3rd place, I think, was in the majority of his matches. And finally, we have OC 1895 in 29th, who drives a good pace, actually. Drives pretty consistently, I would have to say. Like, his time attack wasn't the strongest. It was enough to get in, and then he was able to just hold it in the seeding event and scrape in. So he could throw a spanner in the works. If Babz really can't pull himself together in the rounds, then we could see OC in 3rd place. But I believe the format is that we will be keeping the first 2 players and eliminating the bottom 2, right?
We will be keeping the top 2. The bottom 2 will be dropping into a lower bracket. Not fully eliminated just yet, and we are going to be playing Reverse Cup as well throughout the tournament. That means all players starting with a certain amount of points. Yet to figure out what that is. Probably 100, maybe 120. You will lose points based on where you finish in each round. And then once you drop to 0 points, if you come last in a round, you get eliminated. We will be going 4th, 3rd, and we will be playing for the top 2 seeds because those top 2 seeds do matter in terms of the seeding into the next round of the competition as well, to figure out whether or not you have to face Babz. You want to come first, so you don't got to face Babz. I think that's really what it boils down to, Orion, because Babz looks quick.
I mean, Boz does look quick, sure, but Boz only posted his times recently. He's been practicing offline, so throughout the week, no one's really known where Babz fit in. But I would genuinely say Epos is a contender. Wizzy, absolutely a contender. I think he's picked himself up from BIPL and has to look great in the time attack and finishes 2nd seed. Boz driving better in the rounds, but like, I feel like if we are going to make any sort of prediction, Boz versus Wizzy could happen, but Epos has been setting world records in time attack as well. Like, he has looked absolutely on form as he did in BIPL, and the only reason he finished 2nd in BIPL was because he actually lost to Boz in week 1. And then kind of just went on a rampage and beat everybody else in Division 1. 3rd is Acros, who I feel like it's a coin toss with Acros. You can get absolute god tier Acros, never crashes, drives insane times, and is just an absolute beast. Or he can have an off day. So, yeah, Acros, I would say a dark horse. But yeah, I think it's going to be between those 4, to be honest. Jaffa had some world records early on in the time attack, but those have since been superseded by the likes of Epos, Wizzy, Boz. And then you have Hendo 6th, Leo 7th, and Ruin 8th. 4 great players, but I think that the top 8 is going to be very kind of cleanly split into a top 4 and a bottom 4.
Yeah, I mean, possible to say now, and we'll see how things actually do when we get into rounds. Let's focus in a little bit on this match here as well. We should also mention all of the players are playing for a share of the £1,250 prize pool, large portion of which has been donated by our partners in Into the Breach on this event. Thanks to them for that, but it has come from some other sources as well. Pack giving up a share of his winnings from previous tournaments in order to fund this prize pool, make it a little bit bigger, which is always appreciated. But all right, focus in a little bit more on this match as well. I think one of the particularly interesting things to me is that we're coming in today. We've got 4 maps, 4 excellent maps, very, very competitive. Anyway,
Stabs guy.
Close enough.
What
Yeah, probably fine. Yeah, no sound. Look, nobody could hear us there anyway, so that's not the 4
really?
players in this match. So totally fine. Don't worry about it. That was, ignore whatever just happened there. I want to focus on these maps in particular because looking down the spreadsheet on them, for example, we're looking at Epos, is probably one of the favorites coming into this match. You have to say it. He has the highest seed. He is very fast. But when we get to Candy Crush, that third map that we will be playing this evening, he's not particularly quick on it. And a battle between Epos and Gibbonster on map 3 here could be really exciting if Gibbonster has managed to stay in the fight.
I mean, you say that, but I have to just kind of say that you're wrong because Epos is just Epos is quick on every map. Like
that's the thing though. I'm looking at the seeding results and like the combination of time attack and rounds, and Epos is top 3 in every map except on Candy Crush where he was the 10th fastest.
10th fastest time attack or 10th fastest overall?
Combined overall, but did not have a particularly strong rounds finish either.
Okay, well, he had world record on Candy Crush for quite a while until Wizzy came and beat him. He was the first player to do a 0.3. He's going to do a 57.6 to open things up here. Gibbonster coming second as well. So Babz once again not showing the pace in rounds that he was able to show in time attack. And we'll see if that story continues to play out as well. Because I don't know. I would earmark Babz as the second, as a strong favorite for second. But yeah, his rounds just haven't been up to standard in recent days. So he's just having a bit of an off day. But we'll have to see. Oh, Epos is dead actually, so he's going to drop all the way down to the back, and that's an awful place to crash as well on that engine off drift.
That's just an embarrassing place to crash there for Babz on the outside of the dirt turn. Makes a touch. It's fine, though. Still in contention for second place on this one. Gibbonster looking for a win. OC has not had a quick start to our rounds here, crashing out at the start of both of them so far, and that will leave him quite far behind. For as much as Babz has maybe been struggling with rounds, OC tends to be a very good rounds player. Has done quite well in previous tournaments as well once we hit the rounds. And compared to his time attack seeding, his round seeding was absolutely up there.
Yeah, it was. I think we could definitely keep an eye on OC. I can't really see him winning many rounds as Babz with a touch there. I tell you what, though, that end drift, you have to have the speed. Like, if you don't, you just have to go risky. When in the seeding event, I think I only took the risky finish once. Like, every time I came out of that drift, I just didn't have enough speed. And you have to go over that slow-mo block, and it cost you about 3 seconds. I was driving 102s in rounds consistently because I was on pace for like a 59, and then I just didn't have the speed coming out of the last drift. So any sort of touch, any sort of overslide on that last drift, then yeah, you're looking at the safe finish and a plus 3 seconds added to your time.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I finally managed to do my map discovery on these maps last night, and
all right,
I'm not going to say I never made it into any of the risky finishes on any maps, but no, that is pretty much exactly what happened.
Yeah, they are hard. Like, I think the only one that is, well, I would say poles and frame shift are okay. You can kind of cock up the ending a little bit and get away with it. Candy, even if you mess up the ending, you can just go super wide in those last couple of turns and then take the ramp like as straight as possible and still just about make it. With this one, yeah, any mistake, any touch, any overdrift, underdrift, wombling free, you are screwed.
Yeah, will go very, very poorly for you indeed. And speaking of going poorly, I would say so far, at least one of these rounds has gone quite poorly for everyone involved. That means the score is at the top of the leaderboard at the moment. Still very close indeed. We did start off with that 100-point limit. You lose 10 points if you come in 4th place. You only lose a single point if you come in 1st, and it is -3 for 2nd. It is -6 then for a 3rd place finish. And well, after 3 rounds, it is 88, 88, and 90. Epos and Babz both on 88, and Epos not necessarily the start he would have wanted coming in as top seed for this match.
Perhaps not, but I mean, still looking quick. I mean, every time we get to about the midway point, he's got a lead of about 0.3 of a second. So I would say he's looking
comfortable. Did drive a 57-2 last round as well, it has to be noted, which is
exactly.
Very quick.
Yeah, fast guy. But
yeah.
I mean, how many rounds do we do per map? Is it 5 now? Because it was 8 in the seeding event, as Gibbonster gets a slowdown there coming out of that ice, but OC still behind. See if anyone is going to have to take that safe route. Babz makes it into the finish in 2nd this time. Much better round for Babz. Gibbonster 3rd. OC not having that speed, going to have to take the safe in again. It's so painful. The slow-mo block as well. Like, why? Why, please, like Kerberos? Why would you do that? You're already going to lose a second if you don't have that slow-mo block there. But yeah, it's just insult to injury. And the other thing is, if you touch on the outside, then it's more like 5 seconds, because you know if you touch on the outside, you're not going to make the risky, and you've already got a slowdown, and then you have to go over the slow-mo block as well, as we see OC crashing out. Wait, there's a safe strat for that? I had no idea that there was a safe strat.
There is a safe way around on that. Don't worry.
Oh my god, I didn't know. I played this map all week and I didn't know.
Caster doesn't know. Absolute disaster there. And unfortunately, Pack has been eliminated in 5th place here on the first map of the competition. Just absolutely devastating. But I can confirm that Pack has joined us in Discord, and I think we'll be hearing from him between matches, hopefully, to go through exactly what has been going on for some of these players and to see what's going on with the pace. At the moment, a battle between Epos and Babz at the start, but it is a little bit one-sided as Epos races off into the distance. Babz trying to maybe catch back up. Babz should have the speed to make it through that risky fin. No problem. Loses the -3, but will move a little bit further ahead of Gibbonster as we look to head to map 2.
Yep, Babz finding his rhythm on Hoga. Definitely the hardest map in the pool. So if Babz is able to pick himself up and collect himself going forwards, as we go on to, I don't even know the map order now because I've been playing the 4 maps in the same order.
It is Frame Shift that we are heading to next of all. And do you know what I'm going to say as well, coming out of the back of that map, is that Babz is ahead of Gibbonster, but Hoga was by far in time attack and the seeding rounds Gibbonster's worst map. He was
interesting.
22nd on the combined final score on that out of the 32 that made it in. And again, when you look at the rest of his scores across the board, he's basically top 15, top 10 in a couple of the other maps in terms of the combined scores. So Hoga may be a little bit of a problem for Gibbonster. He may be happy to have gotten it out of the way nice and early on here. And I'd be a little bit maybe nervous then for Babz as we move towards some of the other maps in this pack, because Hoga was his strongest map then on the 2 of them. So that's going to be a very interesting battle for 2nd as we move towards Frame Shift.
Yeah, it will. I would say Frame Shift as well is probably the easiest map overall. So times should be quick here and there shouldn't be as many crashes. And with this map as well, I would say the only places that you can kind of full die is if you risk a bit too hard on the opening bit, just going over the bumps, for example, or trying to go too tight to the checkpoint on the inside. If you full die there, yeah, that's it, you're over. But this map is all about holding gears. That is kind of the story of this map with the outside dirt turns. There's also a gear at the end after the drift that's quite important to hold for a good finish. So yeah, small touches maybe we might see, just costing half a second to a second or so. But I'm expecting to see a bit more consistency and a bit more pace from all 4 players here.
OC is going to have to step up, has unfortunately nearly lost already half of his starting points. Just a few too many mistakes coming through so far in the rounds, you'd have to say. It's not been pace, it has been the errors leading to finishes. 10 seconds behind, and there is another one to start thing off on Frame Shift. And I think he may have lost the gear going through that turn as well, which, as you say, means further time losses over the course of the track there.
Yeah, everyone going for that little jump through the checkpoint there, which I believe was discovered by Jaffa Padawan. I wasn't sure if people would be using that in rounds. I personally preferred it because it meant you didn't have to go as wide, and it was a bit more of an awkward line to avoid the pole. But I wasn't sure if people would actually be using it in rounds, but it looks like most players have actually adopted it. I didn't actually know during the seeding event because I'm full HUD off, cars off. I even installed the Open Planet plugin, which gets rid of the number on the back of your car. I was that like full focus, no distractions. But yeah, it is a good map. I think this was probably my favorite map, and I will just put it out there. I was very happy about this. I didn't crash at all, like not even a touch in the seeding event. 8 rounds,
Oh.
all clean, within 0.5 of each other. I was so happy.
May need to give some tips to the drivers in this one because again, an early mistake from
Well, they are
Babz.
driving about half a second quicker than I was,
There
but we
is
don't
that,
talk
right?
about that.
Well, you know, I mean, pace, what is it? Does it mean anything? It means a little bit as Babz will catch back up to everyone. 2 overtakes on the dirt uphill around the outside there, but Gibbonster does have the speed, and mostly that's, I think, just a function of Epos pulling away into the distance. Gibbonster has to take the outside line, will not be going for the triangle this time around. You can see it's not a huge time loss going around there. He maybe drifts back a couple of hundredths, half a tenth at most for not going for it, but you know, not having the setup for the line that you'd prefer to take through it and having to adjust on the fly can be a little bit difficult.
Oh, Babz with a big crash, though. He might still be able to make it. Never mind. No slide. Doesn't have enough speed. He's going to gift OC 3rd place. That is a killer mistake from Babz there. But you could see everyone else driving consistently. So one mistake like that can be the difference between 1st and 4th in these rounds.
Really can be, and it will be. It's a big -10 loss. The swing between a 1st and a 4th place finish is 9 points. Unfortunately for everyone else, though, Epos does seem to have the 1st places on lock here on Frameshift. Having gotten Hoga out of his system, is now starting to pull away consistently. 55.7 round 1, 55.8 in round 2, about half a second at most, 3/10, 4/10 off that world record. Set by Babz, a 55.4 is a very, very quick time on this map.
His local record is a 55.5 as well, so whether he's driven that in a warm-up round or something like that. So that's only 2/10 off world record. Gibbonster with a 56.3 best, and Babz with a 56.5. OC a bit further behind on a 56.8, and you can kind of see that playing out, really. Babz is having a much better round here, trying to challenge Epos for the win. Gibbonster coming up with a nice outside dirt line as well, has plenty of speed going into this plastic section. We'll see how much the players risk here. Babz opting to go wide for more speed into the final drift. It's going to be very close between Babz and Gibbonster, but I think Gibbonster just about holds it. OC drives a pretty good time there, actually, but still, he drives a 56.7, which is a great time for rounds, but I think that he is just kind of, well, not second best, but 4th best in terms of the players that we've got here. So, yeah, he might be finishing last, but he is on the pace.
And of course, as we said, there is still that lower bracket, maybe a deep run to be started there. But OC looking at risk of dropping out potentially on Candy Crush. Another 3 4th place finishes, he'd be down into finalist mode, and that's elimination time if you lose another round. You have to be perfect basically from then on out. And not just perfect, you have to be quick as well. Right now, OC is trailing a little bit behind everyone. Babz is trying to chase down Gibbonster and Epos, who are pulling away a little bit on this round. Epos does just seem to have, on pure pace alone, a couple of tenths over everyone else in this map so far. But at the moment, Gibbonster is putting up a good fight as we head through the middle of the map around this turn, making sure not to get too inside and as outside as you can get on the dirt without clipping as you head through that one, keeping your gears, keeping your speed onto the plastic, and towards the final drift we go. Epos has just pulled out a few car lengths of a lead, and that will be enough to carry on a clean round from everyone involved. A 55.8 from Epos again at the start. The consistency is scary, and Gibbonster will pull another 2nd place in front of Babz to extend that lead.
Yeah, you saw how much Epos gained at the end there. The end is probably the place where you can lose or gain the biggest amount of time, because the optimum line is to go as tight as you can to those inside walls on the plastic uphill, and then just full send it through, keep the gear on the final drift as well, and power it to the finish. And Epos pulled out a gap of about 0.4, I think, just in those 2 turns alone over Gibbonster. So that really kind of just shows how much there is to win or lose in the end. We'll talk about OC as well, who looked like he was driving a clean round again. Wasn't too far off the pace, maybe only about half a second, but fell foul in the final turns. Going to be in third place at the moment with Gibbonster coming through. Much tighter line on the plastic. OC having to go all the way around, but carrying more speed now into this drift. It's neck and neck at the front and the back here. See if there's any mistakes made as we go into this final outside dirt turn. Nobody clipping or losing the gear. Well, I think OC has lost the gear, but it's only cost him a tenth. Babz with a big crash promotes Gibbonster to second, but it's going to be a fight between second and third for OC and Gibbonster. Gibbonster, I think, has more speed, overtakes OC. Where's Epos gone?
Epos went for the safe.
Gibbonster into first place. Epos gone for the safe finish. Why is that? He looked like he had plenty of speed.
I mean, look at the time up at the top. A 56.5 is the slowest we have had by a margin. And partly that is because Epos was driving the pace that Epos has been driving the entire match here on Frameshift and just bailed out of that final turn. It allows OC to capitalize a little bit. OC climbing slightly closer up, though, standing safe for a little while longer, but still very much at risk on this one. And this is now us moving to Candy Crush. And Ryan, this is where we said Epos might look slightly, not vulnerable. That's not the right word, because I think he's still going to be very, very quick on this map. But we were kind of saying this is the map that he maybe struggled the most on out of the four relative to the rest of the field. He was just in front of Gibbonster on the seeding, as opposed to, 10 places in front of Gibbonster on the seeding as he has been in all of the other maps. So this is maybe a chance for Gibbonster to try and claw it back and maybe even turn this into a fight for first as we head towards the end of this match.
Yeah, possibly. This is a difficult map to drive for sure. It tries to catch you out at every turn. Hoga is like just difficult, but this is like, what's the word?
Actively hostile.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it, to be honest with you. And it's also kind of one of those maps where you really have to like thread the needle, very fine margins, and yeah, there's a lot of places, a lot of potential for clips. The other thing about this map as well, I think everyone goes for the inside pole on the drift. I went for the outside pole because I just didn't like the inside. It was probably a couple of tenths slower, but I was a lot more consistent with it. I don't know if that's the case for any other players. I haven't been watching other people in rounds, but I'm interested. I'm interested to see if everyone goes inside or if there are some outside pole enjoyers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I will tell you, that first turn there into the first checkpoint, one where I found myself having to release a lot, but these players have their lines down. They know what they're doing. OC, slightly less so than the other three right now with an early crash, will be dropping behind again, and that means he's very much at risk next round of going into the elimination zone as the first player in this match. But a good race up at the front. Epos does hold the lead. Babz in second. Gibbonster with a wider entry into the grass means he'll be gaining back potentially, but it will be still held by Babz. I got very close to a touch on the wall.
Yeah, I think Babz might have lost the gear. It's allowed Gibbonster to come through. Babz with a much tighter drift. Gibbonster with more speed. We'll see if anyone loses the gear on this plastic, which is an incredibly easy one to lose. I think Babz might have just dropped it. Gibbonster coming through with more speed, and Gibbonster with more speed at the end should hold on to second place here, all making the risky finish. But as we can see, Epos 0.5 ahead at the end, 56.7. Great time there. I believe that's only about 0.4 off world record. But a good fight from Gibbonster and Babz on this. And just to put in context, I mean, OC looks like he's going to be dropping out sooner or later. He's on 5 points. And do we have the
needs a first or second to avoid elimination now, or to avoid final? No, it's finalist mode, and then if you come last in a round, you drop out. But if he comes in third or fourth in this round, he will be in finalist mode. He will get eliminated with another last place finish, and that's scary. And that, of course, does mean that all of a sudden the points losses become bigger for everyone as well. Once we lose one player, it will be -10 for third place, -6 for second, and -3 for first. And with Babz falling a little ways behind Gibbonster, that starts to get very, very scary indeed. Really needs to hope for an Epos mistake and needs to be in a position to capitalize on it and maybe start to close that gap to Gibbonster a little bit. There is the Epos mistake, but Babz is still sitting in second place. Gibbonster looking to take full advantage.
Yeah, don't count out Epos yet, though. They might both drop the gear on this downhill plastic, and he might be able to catch back up to them as we see him reeling them in, coming for Babz.
Oh.
He's got a better line at the end as well. He's not going to get Gibbonster, but Babz falling to Epos there, even after making a mistake, still setting a very respectable time. But we do see OC dropping down to that finalist last chance position. If he finishes last in a round now, we will be saying goodbye. And yeah, I did want to draw attention as well. Babz now has half the points of Gibbonster.
Yep.
And with it seeming like it's going to be third place losing 10 points from now on instead of fourth, Babz
Only
is
a
in
handful
real
of
trouble
rounds.
here.
Yeah, and with a bit of a mistake at the start of it was absolute worst case scenario on that last round, right? Epos makes a little bit of a mistake, Gibbonster gets through to win a round, and then Babz still gets overtaken by Epos. A bigger point swing than Babz can afford at this point, really. But with another Epos mistake, we'll see if Babz can hold on this time around. OC is fighting for his life, and it's Epos who's chasing him down, and that is not going to be a comfortable position to be in.
No, he's going to have Epos breathing down his neck. Does drive a great line there, though. As you see, Epos catching up, slowly reeling him in. I think that Epos could here. You can see how much he's pushing so close to the inside. Takes an inside line there. Still holds the gear, but he's clipped a little bit. It's going to be so close on the line. Who has the better end? Epos down. Does he have more speed? Not quite. OC might survive. He is going to survive.
Babz for the safe. Oh, no, Babz.
Wow.
Cannot afford that right now. That's only a few rounds ago. At the end of the last map, we were still very close between Gibbonster and Babz. Here on Candy Crush, halfway through, Babz is now 40 points behind, and Gibbonster has closed that gap to Epos as well. We said this might be the map where if he wants to make a fight for first place, it might have to be here on Candy Crush that he does a lot of the heavy lifting. That's been the case so far. That's 2 round wins back-to-back for Gibbonster, with Epos second in the previous one, third in that one, and Gibbonster is gaining.
Yeah, it would be a real shock, I think, if Gibbonster was able to actually challenge Epos, because Epos has looked unstoppable in the time attack. And, you know, not to take anything away from Gibbonster, but he hasn't been up there fighting with the top players, but really proving himself here. He's only 6 points behind. I feel like, though, if OC and Babz drop out, Epos is winning more rounds than he's losing, right? And that gap could start to open up a bit faster once we have less players on the server, as Epos wins another round with a 56.6. Excellent time there. Gibbonster half a second behind and Babz just behind him. But we will be saying goodbye to OC, who did brilliantly to make it here. But ultimately, the players in this lobby are just a cut above. And yeah, I don't want to say that he didn't really have a chance, because he absolutely did. But yeah, it's just testament to how good Epos, Gibbonster, and Babz are on these maps.
Yeah, they have been very, very quick indeed. But with that said, some have been quicker than others, and Babz is the loser for that at the moment. Is sitting a long way down, and with -10 now going for a third place, Babz is only potentially a couple of rounds from entering last chance mode himself. Really needs to start to pick up, if possible, some round wins, because even if you're picking up round wins, that's still -3 points now. That's still sitting on only 16, starts to get you down towards the danger zone very, very quickly indeed.
Yep, it does, but we've only got 3 players left, and it is such a fight between Babz and Gibbonster here. Epos is about 3/10 up the road, but I feel like that could increase slightly because his line on the plastic, he gains so much here by holding the gear, as Gibbonster still chasing down Babz, who really needs this second place. But I feel like even with the second places, he sniped him. Even with the second places, Babz is still in danger. Definitely with the third place, he's going to drop down to only 6 points now. Needs to win the next round, otherwise that will be a last chance for Babz, and it will be a straight fight between Epos and Gibbonster. But that is going to be the end of Candy Crush, and probably the last time we will see that map now, as we do move on to polls by Berserk.
Yep, I mean, you can already see it behind me. I've been prepped. I'm ready to go on this one the entire way through. It's definitely not just the first one I clicked on randomly when I was looking to grab an image for behind me, but, you know, it's good. All the maps looking absolutely fantastic. Of course, this mod, the purple dirt, it's gorgeous. And we'll see how the players do when we do get onto this map now as well. Very kind of our producer as well, making sure that I don't accidentally cast warm-up by simply not showing them to me. It's probably the easiest way to make sure that happens.
Oh man, do you know what I did earlier? So it was the start of the seeding, and we had warm-up 1 and warm-up 2. We were on Candy Crush. And I was like, okay, we'll do warm-up 1, warm-up 2, and then Sean put in chat, server is now active. So we did warm-up 1, warm-up 2, and then I started driving thinking I was in a round. Literally, like, first round as well, I was shaking, like, I was so nervous. And he had restarted the warm-up. It was another warm-up 1 and 2, so I was literally like this, terrified. Got to the end, punched the air because I'd driven like... What time did I drive? No idea. It was like within about half a second of my PB.
Yeah.
Thinking that I'd driven a great round first round, and then like put the HUD back on, and it's like, I've won.
That's rough. That's rough.
So mad.
That's more forgivable though. You know, you've been trolled a little bit by match admin there, and you've also, you know, you've got HUD off. There's no indication that you're not actually driving live rounds. These players, they should hopefully know what's going on in server at the moment. And as we head to polls, I think they should all be aware of how the match is going overall, with Babz sitting on 6 points. He needs to win the round now, or he's on last chance.
Yeah, he does. I don't know what the pace is like for Epos and Gibbonster on polls. Obviously, Epos probably going to be the fastest player. As Babz, bye. See you later. Sorry, mate.
That's rough,
that's
buddy.
painful. Yeah. God, that hole there, it's like... That turn in particular kind of just decides the whole map, because you either crash the hole on the outside, you crash the little thing that sticks out in front of you for no particular reason, or you go like giga wide and then you're messed up for the next outside dirt line as well. But we are seeing a good battle here between Gibbonster and Epos. Gibbonster has some serious pace on this map by the look of things. Epos with a much better line though. Is he going to snipe it away? They're separated by mere hundredths. Gibbonster with a slightly lower jump. It's going to be Epos on the line. 200th of a second. You could not ask for a closer race in round 1. But Babz 7 seconds behind, dropping down to that last chance. But I mean, if that is an appetizer for what is in store between Epos and Gibbonster, I am ready for the main course, Nua.
I'm fully on board with seeing a bit more of that, and that could turn out to be an important round as well, because that's functionally a 6-point swing between the two drivers there. Gibbonster would instead be sitting on 48, and Epos would be on 56 if the results had swung the other way that time around. And instead, it's a full 14-point gap instead of a 9-point gap, and that feels harder for Gibbonster. It's going to be difficult to come back to challenge Epos for it now anyway. And just every round win that you can sneak out, even if it is a matter of 200ths of a second, could turn out to be so important. Epos does not particularly look like he wants any repeat of that last round, choosing to just stamp his authority on this round nice and early on. Has pulled out a 2-10th lead. Gibbonster will look to challenge back, but it's really on Babz to try and make the most of this, to try and catch up to Gibbonster, stay alive in the competition just a little bit longer here.
Yeah, he's got a good drift, but he's going to need to full send the end. He might have a bit more speed. He's overtaking, but has he overcooked it on the jump? Yes, he has. Babz looked like he'd done enough, but that is going to be it. It's going to be Epos versus Gibbonster, but both players will remain alive in playoffs at this point. It's just to decide seeding from here. Epos on 56 points, Gibbonster on 39, and we've still got 3 rounds left on polls, and we will definitely be going to the next map, which is Hoga, where Epos looked supreme. So Gibbonster is going to have to try his utmost and get as many points off of Epos as he can on this map.
Yeah, will definitely need to, and I think potentially the issue for Gibbonster there is he was not markedly slower that time around. Epos just drove significantly faster after the first round, managing to put up a 53.7 within 2/10 of the world record set by Wizzy on this map. Is kind of silly. Those are silly times to be driving in rounds already. First round of the upper bracket here in the British and Irish Pro Cup. Well, Epos is pulling away into the distance in front of Gibbonster as well. Gibbonster can afford to lose 4 times before going to last chance, but I'm sure he'd like to maybe, you know, make Epos sweat for it a little bit, because that would be very comfortable for Epos if that's how things play out. Yeah,
it's a 53.8 from Epos. That's like as a second quicker than my personal best in rounds. This guy's just built different, honestly. Every time I see him compete, it is an absolute joy, as is with Boz, Wizzy, Acros, all of the top players. It is just so good to watch, like, the top level. Well, not quite the top level, you know, there's TMGL and TMCL, but anyway, almost the top level of competition, and how good the talent is in British and Irish Trackmania as well.
Yeah, well, speaking of the talent, here is Gibbonster trying to show off a little bit, is now on pace with Epos in this round for the first time in a couple of rounds, but Epos just full sending it into that turn, drifts a little bit later. It has led Gibbonster a better lineup onto the plastic, and he retakes the lead. Onto the dirt we go, and this could be another photo finish between the two drivers.
Really could. Epos going to have more speed here, though. Gibbonster has to release. Ooh, almost clips the outside as well. I think Epos is going to take it. He's about 2/10 ahead. Gibbonster doesn't have the speed, and Epos with a nice low jump into the finish, just eating away now at Gibbonster's points, who can't seem to catch a break. Epos just driving too fast, too consistently, and taking control of the match.
And Gibbonster has been improving over the course of this match as well.
Sure.
Has been driving faster times in pretty much every round, with the issue being that Epos just drove that first round a little bit slower and then decided that he was not going to lose anymore and started driving 7/10 quicker than Gibbonster drove in that round, and is still, you know, a few tenths quicker than Gibbonster's improved times as well. An absolute performance from Epos here, who rumor has it is just currently vibing in the main Discord channel on the British and Irish Trackmania server while he does this to Gibbonster.
Yeah, just Giga Chad vibes, honestly. He's driving an even faster time here. Gibbonster looking a little bit more out of shape this round, not driving as cleanly. That's a very risky jump there as well, but it is going to pay off. He's going to catch up by maybe a tenth or so, but I think this round is over and done with. Is this our last round on poles?
This is our last round on poles,
last round on poles, and now we go on to Hoga. Epos, ooh, I thought he clipped there, but no, he is going to take first place again. We go on to Hoga, and at this point, Nua, I think we can see a foregone conclusion fast approaching.
Yeah, I mean, looked like Gibbonster's weakest map of the four, and that's, I mean, not saying too much. Gibbonster still has driven very well on every map, drove well on Hoga, but Epos versus Gibbonster, when it comes down to it on Hoga, you'd struggle to say that it's going to be Gibbonster finding as many round wins as he needs to in a row here, because guaranteed now with a -6 points still for first place that Gibbonster is on last chance within only a couple of rounds here, and at that point he would need to win probably 4, maybe 5 back-to-back against Epos in order to actually manage to pull out a win here at this point. Would be a legendary comeback, but you know, I think just setting it up in terms of how unlikely it is, just to highlight that if it does end up happening, we're going to get very, very impressed and very loud very quickly.
Yeah, we will. I think he would pretty much need to win all 5 rounds on Hoga.
Yep. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah. Best wishes to you, but yeah, I feel like we might actually see Epos try and full send it here and like see what he is really capable of in terms of pace, because I mean he knows he's won the match now, right? Does he kind of show off for the stream a little bit? Does he try and go for world record in rounds on stream? It's the kind of thing that he would do. It would be a very Epos thing to do. Yeah, we'll see. We'll get on to Hoga, and probably very shortly we'll be getting off Hoga as well.
Yeah, potentially closing out our first match here on the stream of the British and Irish Pro Cup. Having a quick look, I don't know if we have results coming in from any of the other matches just yet. This feels like it has gone relatively quickly. One of the quickest ways that this format can go when you have Reverse Cup is, well, when a player drops out very early on and the points start to go low quicker, and then you eliminate a second player in quick succession, as has kind of happened with OC and Babz. This is not the start that Gibbonster would want on the map. Epos can just kind of relax on the way now to the finish line. I suppose the question is as well, Orion, does he push anyway because he's going for glory runs?
Absolutely. Like, Epos and safe do not really go in the same sentence. He is like, he full pushes every round because he is brimming with self-confidence, which obviously you want to be in competitions like this. I, however, was not. I was shaking like I was, you know, dehydrated and starved in the seeding event. I could barely hold on to my controller, but Epos is the complete opposite of that. You said about results as well, which I can give you some of for match 1. Guess who finished first in match 1? I wonder.
Would it possibly be Babz?
No, actually. April Fools. Yes, it was Bozbez.
God, we should never start a competition on April Fool's Day. What an awful idea this was.
As you would imagine, it was Boz, Crisp, Socks, and then Killjoy. Can you guess who won match number 2?
Now, are these actual results, or are these just the results in seeding order?
These are
because
actual
that's how they
results.
were entered.
These are actual results. I believe they are actual results.
Okay. Was it
Because,
Wizzy?
our match currently has Babz in 3rd, OC in 4th, and the other 2 results are not filled in.
Yeah,
so
but do we believe that that's just a result of the fact that admins are watching the stream and therefore know what's going on?
I'm going to go with their results. Yes.
Okay.
Wizzy first, Chris second, Idle third, Kinch fourth, so as they were seeded. And match 3 was the same. Acros first, Divino second, Matt T third, Monochrome in 4th. So, yeah, rounds and matches going according to seeding thus far. And I believe this one as well.
Here. Yep,
Same thing
looks
here.
like it will be the case. Epos crosses the line in first place at 57-5 to finish things off. Gibbonster put up a good fight. Does manage to drop Epos below 30 points in the final round. So, you know, that's pretty good. He still only got a quarter of the points that he started off this match with. And Epos will move forward into the second round. Of course, Gibbonster will move forward into the second round as well. Top 2 move on. Babz and OC drop into that lower bracket. But ultimately, story of that match, Epos is really, really quick.
He is really, really quick, and it's good to see because it means that we've got some real competition on our hands. I'm trying to see what match we are likely to be streaming next because we've had 4 upper bracket matches and we've got 4 more. One of which will be shown on stream.
Figure it out. Yeah, one of them.
Well,
we're also, I believe we're going to potentially get Pack in now. We're also potentially going to get an Epos interview. And so, honestly, whatever order that ends up happening in, great. And in the meantime, we're just going to fill a little bit of time. As you say, 4 more upper bracket matches to go at this point. And we'll see exactly which one of those we do want to end up doing. I mean, honestly, all of these upper bracket matches do look interesting. I think match 8 to me is potentially exciting. Ro looked to be on an absolute charge during the round seeding there, as opposed to a solid time attack phase, but not as strong as they looked then in the rounds. And with Jordan, Vig, Q, and Floyd in that match as well. Could be an interesting one. I mean, there's just a lot of very good players in the top 32. Here's what it boils down to. And so a lot of these matches could end up being quite interesting.
Yeah, match 8, you highlighted that. We've got Ru and Jordan 8th and 9th seed, and then Vig, Q, and Floyd 24th and 25th. But I do know that Vig had a self-confessed nightmare in the seeding event. I think he was like top 15, and he's ended up finishing 24th. So rounds did not go well for Vig. But if he can tidy that up, then I would even say that he might even be able to challenge Ru and Jordan. He's very often Division 1 player in Cup of the Day, and a player that has really kind of improved over the past year, especially. I am not sure about Floyd. Floyd isn't a player that I kind of have on my radar. Obviously, quick. He's made it into the top 32 and 25th. But I know the other 3. They are well-established players, and they are all very fast. So I feel like it could be a 3-way battle between Ru, Jordan, Vig, with Ru probably coming out on top, Jordan and Vig going toe-to-toe, and then Floyd kind of lagging behind slightly. Other matches, match 5, we have Jaffa, N7, Nearuko, and Charge. That's a match. I would be leaning towards that. Hello Pack.
Welcome to impeccable timing. Just launching yourself into the middle of the conversation.
Of course.
What did you think of this first match then on stream? I mean, ultimately, the first 4 matches that we have had so far have all just gone in seeding order. Maybe not a surprise, because I think these players are starting to get used to the idea of competition and rounds.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with you there, because yeah, I expected those results, and Epos just looks solid. He looks so good. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops throughout the tournament as well.
Have you got any, like, if you were to make a prediction, top 4 in order, who would you go for right now based on what we've seen so far?
Jesus, we've only seen one match.
Well, yeah, I guess the seeding event wasn't streamed. Yeah, I suppose. But have you been looking at the time attack times as well?
No, but I've seen Wizzy has like the world record on each match, so I don't.
Yeah.
It's nuts that Babz has like come first in time attack then. So, that'd be interesting. I think it's. I'd like to see a Crows just go and win it, but I reckon it's Babz or Wizzy.
Yeah, and I think just looking at it, the first time those two can run into each other, they will not be playing each other in a quarterfinal. They may run into each other in a semi-final, but there is a chance that the first time those two players see each other is in the grand final, which that's potentially exciting. Assuming that things go according to seeding, if they both win their quarterfinal match, I think the first time that they can even see each other is in the grand final.
I mean, that's how it should be as well, like their first and second seed. So I think that's kind of how the bracket is probably set up, to make sure that those top two seeds first meet each other in the grand final. But I think we're a long way from that at the moment. We've still got upper bracket matches left, and we've got lowers as well. What match should we go for, Noah?
I mean,
what are you thinking?
Slightly talked me into the idea. It was match 5 you were sounding excited about. Yeah. That sounded good. I think, listen, there was interesting things to be said about match 8 as well. I think we should try and find one where things don't end up in seeding order. It sounds difficult, but like it would be fun to see.
I think match 5 has the potential. I mean, Jaffa is kind of just outside what I would call the big 4 of Babz, Wizzy, Epos, Acros, but he is like very much knocking on that door. N7 was someone who really surprised us during BIPL. He was kind of an unknown entity, but put in some really solid performances, especially in rounds, and I think he actually improved his seeding position after rounds as well. So he's currently in 12th. Then we have Ro32, who wasn't... He hadn't played the maps all that much, I think. He just hadn't really had the time to properly grind them. And with that as well, finishes 20th, whereas you would probably expect him to be top 15, maybe top 10 on a good day. And then you've got Charged as well, who is a very kind of similar player to the likes of like Gibbonster, for example. Can be very pacey, can be very consistent. Would he be able to challenge the other three? Potentially, if he's having a good day. But I think the main thing I want to focus on there is a battle between Nearuko and N7. That to me feels like it could be very close and very entertaining.
Yeah, it could be a fun one for sure, but we have a little while to go before we do get into that match, and in the meantime, we are going to bring Epos in for a little bit of a chat about what went on in that match. Epos, welcome to the stream. Congratulations on a big win, and looking strong moving forward in the competition.
Hiya, yeah. I mean, to be honest, a little bit of troll despair, but I don't know. It was good enough. It was good enough, I guess. But if I were to play someone like Acros, Babz, Wizzy, yeah, I think I'm in the mud if I play like I did.
Any maps specifically?
I mean, going into this, I kind of thought that Candy Crush would be my sort of safe go-to map, but I ended up crashing a lot in the seeding, and I ended up crashing a lot in match. So it's kind of like, I don't know why I'm shaky on it, sort of thing, because I was pretty confident going into it. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, I guess.
We've got a pack in here as well. Do you wanna say anything to Epos? Any words of advice? Any questions?
Oh, I don't know. I think watching the match, it seems that Epos loves to
Crash.
Not crash. Go for it every round. Like you had plenty of opportunities to just like chill a little bit, relax, save the good rounds for the good matches, and it seems like you're going hell for leather. Although I'm a big fan of that as well. You want to get the fast times in the match to threaten other people. So it's a mix. I don't know. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like you're always pushing, or do you always feel that you can save here and there?
I feel like I'm pushing a bit more than I should, but it's also the fact that I play HUD off the entire time, so I can't really judge where people are, which maybe isn't smart, but I think it helps my focus. So
yeah,
I don't know. I just have to kind of relax a little bit more rather than try push for pace on every single map.
There was also the fact that you Sorry, yeah, I was just going to say there's also the fact that you were in voice call with multiple other people then
Oh,
at
yeah,
the same time, which I don't know, that probably can't be helping the focus and actually making good decisions about pace during live rounds.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially in seeding, like just I'm getting laughed at every time I crash, which is it's great, you know? Helps the focus and yeah.
I mean, it's the only way to play BIPC is to be in a voice call, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's the best
exactly.
way.
Yeah, if you're not doing that, you're kind of just wasting your opportunity, I'd say.
That's Crows was in voice call with you, and also I'm gonna call him out in Twitch chat, calling you Epos suck. So
Yeah. Okay. If we look back on BIPL, we'll see who actually sucks. But you know,
Whee!
Yeah, that'll definitely track. So, do we have any more questions for Epos here? I do think we're approaching time where we start to need to think about getting into our next match of the day. So, Pac, any further questions for Epos? Anything else to say before we move away here?
All good.
I have a question for Epos, which is outside of the top 4 of Boz, Wizzy, yourself, and a Crows. Do you think there's anyone else that could actually like challenge and break into that top 4 into the grand final? Because I know that Jaffa was actually setting some rapid times early on in the time attack, which were beaten by the likes of yourself and Wizzy, Boz, etc. But do you think he could break in and challenge you guys in the top 4? Maybe Hendo as well if he drives well in the rounds.
to be honest, more of my focus was on Hendo. Like, there's a round server that people play every so often, and every time I see him in there, he's bashing out quick times, and he's not crashing
Yeah,
that
to
much.
be fair.
So for me, Hendo, I mean, if one of us 4 has a bad day or a bad match, then Hendo is going to come and sweep a spot without a doubt.
Cool. Definitely worth looking forward to. We are going to, I think, head to a quick break. So, Epos, thank you very much for joining us here on this one. You are safe in the upper bracket for a while longer, means that you do not have to play any more matches today as well. Absolutely lovely. You can just go and hang out in the voice chat and make fun of some of the people who were maybe giving you a bit of grief in that last round.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Absolutely. Pac, thank you very much for joining us here on this break as well. Do you want to throw a quick prediction in for match 5? Do you think N7 Yuroku is going to manage to snipe out that upper bracket spot?
Oh, be so entertaining. To be fair, I've never seen N7 play, so I'm looking forward to see it because you guys have picked them up now. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the battle between him and Yuruko. So I have no idea. I think obviously Jaffa might get through, and then it'd be an interesting fight between those two. Sure.
Fingers crossed. That's all we're looking for here is interesting fights, and we are going to head to a quick break so that we can get into one sooner rather than later. Make sure you don't go anywhere. We will be back with more British and Irish Pro Cup number 2 after the break.